Welcome back from the common fans to the common fans. This is the Common Fan Podcast. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast's new YouTube channel, please make sure to do that at youtube.com/ at commonfangbr. You can also follow us on Twitter at commonfangbr. Send us an email to commonfangbr at gmail.com. And make sure to find us and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. I am TJ Burkle. With me, as always, are Matty Owens Sr. and Geoff in Lincoln. Good evening, boys.
Hey, yo,
Good
DJ.
evening, sir.
What's happening? How are we tonight, boys?
We're doing well.
I feel
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, feeling good.
How are you? How are you doing?
I'm good. There are mixed emotions in Huskerville tonight. The Nebraska so we're recording on Sunday night, December 17th. The Nebraska men's basketball team had another big win, a decisive win over Kansas State today. Unfortunately, the women's volleyball team got beat by the Texas Longhorns in the national title game. Let's take a moment and just hats off to the women and the volleyball team and to Coach John Cook and that whole program. It really was a magical year, starting with the sellout at Memorial Stadium, setting the record for any women's sporting event anywhere in history, all the way through winning the Big Ten championship and getting to the finals. That's a young team. They do not have a senior on the team, so they will be back, and we expect big things from this team, and we have a lot to look forward to there. Back on the positive side, guys, we also are awaiting some big recruiting news, hopefully any minute now or any day between now and Wednesday.
And he has
TJ, for the
he's
love
okay.
of God,
He looks like he's okay.
Oh my
I
God.
just had to mute it there. I felt a cough coming, but I suppressed it as long as I could, and then I had to hit mute and just coughed up a lung there.
All right, you're okay. He's still with
that
us.
swig, that swig of ice cold light domestic beer really helped. Really helps my cough.
Put out that fire.
That'll do her. Anyway, the elephant in the room. It's not even really an elephant in the room. Hopefully, the number one quarterback in the nation, high school quarterback recruit in the nation, Dylan Raiola, is set to commit to the Huskers any day now. He has been in Lincoln all weekend. He was, what did we see pics on Twitter? Was he at the women's basketball game, or was he
I think he was at a wrestling. I think he was at wrestling maybe at some point this weekend.
Wrestling.
And then I think women's hoops.
So he's there. He's got the family in town. His uncle, obviously, Donovan Raiola, is the offensive line coach. Anybody in the recruiting world has predicted that he's going to end up a Cornhusker. So awaiting that exciting news. And then we've also got this interest or intrigue involving Casey Thompson. So Nebraska's starting quarterback in 2022 was at Florida Atlantic this year and played 4 or 5 games and then ended up having season-ending surgery.
Yep.
He's returning to college. He's between COVID and injury waivers. He's returning to college for like a 7th year. Ended up in Lincoln over the last few days. And at first it was like, well, he's just visiting his buddies and he went to school there, so he's got friends there. Next thing you know, he posted some fairly cryptic message, but I think it was like him in a Husker uniform on Instagram. We don't have answers there, but that's fairly intriguing as well.
I think that
25.
I think that Instagram thing has since been debunked, TJ. I think that might have been fake.
Fake?
Oh, I didn't see that. Well,
somebody had sent that to me, and then in the replies they were like, he never posted that on Instagram. It's not even there. So
okay. Well, no, supposedly it was to okay, I just learned about this, guys. The kids now, they have one Instagram page for the world, and then they have that's the Finsta page, the fake
Instagram. Okay.
or one of them's the Finsta, and then one of them is your more private Instagram account for just your close friends. And I did see someone on Twitter mention this is for his like smaller friends account.
Well, so maybe it was on that. Okay.
Now none of us are, as far as I know, you guys, none of us are actually friends with him on Instagram or follow him on Instagram or whatever, you connected with him on Instagram.
As,
On
no,
either,
as,
on any of the
No.
accounts.
as far as you
No.
know, as far as you know.
As far right. So anyway, some intrigue there. I mean, it would certainly make sense to add a seasoned veteran to go along with. I mean, it looks good for the Huskers to land Raiola. It's now trending. Our last episode with Gary Sharp, we thought maybe Danny Kalen from Bellevue West, who has been a Husker commit and currently is a Husker commit, had one foot out the door to go to Michigan State. It looks like it's trending back toward the Huskers. So that's two
What a roller coaster.
two top
Dear Lord.
quarterbacks in the country. One of them who's staying home, hopefully, and another one who's part of the extended Big Red family. That'd be a huge haul. And then how great would it feel if you add a seasoned veteran? I mean, I know we've got friends who are commenting on it, people on social media. I'd be fine with Casey Thompson running it back one more time and mentoring the young guys.
Yeah.
And and see where the competition goes. Maybe Raiola is good enough. Maybe he wins the job. But I think let's have Thompson be part of the program again. And I think he always enjoyed his experience at Nebraska. And I think that'd be fine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at it last year. We had to, use 3 quarterbacks. I mean, God forbid fingers crossed we get Dylan. And then, but God forbid something happens to him and he's injured. And then we're looking at, okay, it's if Purdy's still here, who knows? And then we got Kalen and then who? I mean, maybe we go back to William Wallace, but I think at this point, I know maybe that ship has sailed. But it wouldn't be a bad thing to have a super old guy, a 7th-year senior with a mortgage and multiple auto loans and
two and a half kids in a portfolio.
Yeah, guys got a portfolio. Wouldn't be bad to have somebody like that stepping in and taking snaps.
Right. So
Scott
listen,
Bakula, straight out of necessary wrestling.
As of this recording, just past 9:30 p.m. Central Time on Sunday, December 17th, none of this officially has been settled yet. It's a little bit in flux. We don't have a firm final answer from Raiola, or a public answer anyway. Danny Kalen has posted cryptically on Twitter, but we don't have a final answer from him. The Casey Thompson thing may or may not be something at all. So we're kind of waiting on this. National Signing Day for the early period is Wednesday, December 20th. So again, we should have answers on all of this very soon. It is a little bit of silly season when it comes to recruiting. Hopefully, actually, too, Gary Sharp told us last week that, Raiola was not only committed to the Huskers, but recruiting other guys to try to join him. So maybe we'll get some good surprises as well in the run up to signing day. So we've had some awesome guests lately, guys. We had a couple weeks ago, we had Omaha World Herald legend Tom Chattel. Gary Sharp from 1620 The Zone was on last week and had some phenomenal insight. It was great timing with everything going on with the quarterback situation.
Yeah.
And both of those guys just had some great sort of big picture thoughts, relating to the football program as well and kind of the direction of the program. Jake Muehlheisen stopped by to give us a basketball update.
And back-to-back wins since we had Jake.
Yep.
Well, listen, the Husker basketball team is undefeated since Jake Muehlheisen joined the Common Fans. I don't think that's a coincidence.
I think not.
No coincidence.
That's not too small. That's Michigan State.
Those are 2 good wins.
Those are not small wins.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. If the Common Fans saw what Michigan State did to Baylor yesterday,
Right.
just absolutely obliterated. What are they? 6th ranked Baylor.
Number 6 Baylor.
Exactly. And you know what? I think we kind of alluded to that on the pod, and I think Jake said something about that too. It's like you'd rather play him now than later in the season, because guys, that's going to end up being a really good quality win for the Huskers.
It is. Michigan State always gets better. Like you said, Matt, they'll end up like a 7 seed in the tournament and they'll go to the Final Four or something.
Yeah. Oh, for
Tom
sure.
always coaches them up. That's for sure.
So make sure to check out those other episodes, Common Fans. I think you'll find a lot to enjoy there. Part of the reason I bring that up though is we have put off doing an end of season review, recap, autopsy, whatever you want to call it. It's been over 3 weeks since the Iowa game, where TJ, Matt, and Jeff were all in attendance on that very cold day, and we were almost able to pull the Huskers across the finish line, but we couldn't quite get there. But we've got some good insight from the guests that we've had, just kind of since the season ended, and kind of about sort of the coaching staff and where the team is going and all those sorts of things. So it's time for the common fans to take our crack at it and do our own recap of the 2023 season. So I'm really excited about this. Here's what we've done. So we've picked a handful of big picture topics, items, themes, areas of interest. And what we did was we decided on the sort of the criteria, the topics, but we have not shared our answers with each other. We have not really discussed it at all, other than deciding what the topics were going to be. So we all have our own lists, our own answers, but other than that, we're flying blind as to what the other guys might say. So we're just going to dive into this, and this should be a lot of fun. We're going to start with a spicy one, I thought, to kind of get the juices flowing here. The first one we came up with was, who was your most hated opposing team and or coach in 2023? I feel like I know what both of you is going to say on this. So Geoff, why don't you go first? I know what you're going to say.
Okay. If you know what I'm going to say, can I just say that when I was making this list?
Sorry, but you say, I'm not going to say it.
I was making this list. I'm like, God, man, I hate a lot of people. It's tough for me to decide. I was going through this list. I'm like, God, I kind of hate that guy. Yeah, I definitely hate that dude. Hate that team. So it was close for me, but let's see if you got your guess right, TJ. I went with PJ Fleck.
Yes, I knew it.
I can't stand him. He's gimmicky. He wears the stupid sweater looking thing with a tie for every game. I don't think he actually even coaches. I think he just gives motivational speeches. He's a used car salesman, a snake oil salesman. I can't stand that guy. He drives me nuts. And I mean, this is coming from like other teams we play. Like Prime and Ferentz were in that conversation, especially Brian. But PJ Fleck just drives me freaking crazy. I can't stand the guy. If I saw him at a bar, I'd probably dump a pitcher of beer on his head. That's how much I just cannot stand this dude.
God, I hope I'm there for that if that happens.
Yeah, me too. I will be there to bail you out of jail when you do that.
Yeah, we'll pay the bail. We'll get the common fan. We'll do a GoFundMe.
Yep.
Exactly.
Thanks, guys.
All right, excellent choice, Geoff. First of all, second
was
of
that
all,
right?
That's a good one.
That's where I thought you were going to go. I know how you feel about PJ, but that's a strong one. Matty O, what about you?
So I did most hated team and coach, and they're not from the same program.
Let's hate away. Let's hate.
So I'm gonna let the hate flow through me here, guys. The team for me, it's got to be Iowa. I mean, for me, that's the only right answer. I just, Wisconsin's just dominated us since we joined the Big Ten. I hate that we can't get over the hump and beat those guys, even when we're as talented or better. But it's still Iowa. I mean, just how they win so ugly, and it just makes me want to throw up. Watching them play good defense and tackle and get a play on special teams, and that's how we win. It's just the worst brand of football. And there's a reason. Like, one of my favorite
generic.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite Twitter follows is the Sickos Committee, and it's like, I feel like 3 years running, Iowa's the Sickos Committee national champion just because of the disgusting ways in which they win football games. So it's still Iowa.
And if I could just piggyback on that, you're spot on. And not only that, like it always, like we are and always will be better than Iowa, and it drives me nuts that we lose to them. Like it always feels like we're even when we. You're spot on. We are. We should never lose to Iowa.
And it doesn't matter what our record is; they still treat it like it's the gosh darn Super Bowl. Like me and Jeff are at the game, the Iowa game. We're walking out, and these guys, these Iowa fans that are there for the game, are running around, whooping it up, like they just won the freaking national championship. I'm like, what a bunch of D-bags! Like you just beat a 5-win football team. Like, what are you so excited about? But it's just so that we are still like on their minds all the time. Like this, I've seen a little bit on Twitter with the Dylan Raiola stuff, and they just like are disgusted and can't believe it. Like that guy would be. And even though there's like family connections, maybe they don't get that with Don, his dad playing there and Donovan being the coach there. But it's like they still don't understand why we can get a guy like that and they can't. And there's a reason why. You nailed it, TJ. We are better than them. We will always be better than them. Throw the records out the window.
We're a better brand, and it drives me like our probably worst stretch of football in the history of football has been the last 7 or 8 years,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it just so happens like that's been probably arguably their best stretch, and the best they can do is lose the conference championship game in their
Yeah.
in their best stretch of football. So it just
Mhm.
drives me nuts that we've sort of collided with them in our period in the Big Ten when we have not been great, admittedly. But I mean, that's going to change, guys. I have no doubt that's going to change. We're going to keep playing them every year. It's going to even out. We're going to start beating them again. I have no doubts about this.
Oh, for
But it
sure.
just you're spot on, Mattio.
It's just in those damn wind turbines. Just I hate those. God.
Oh, so my coach was a different one though. And you the way you worded the question, TJ, was in 2023. So I feel like this
I just
year,
meant who we played.
yes. So
Yeah.
this year and probably next year too, next fall. And we've talked about him on the pod a lot. The whole college football world has talked about him a lot. But
Yeah.
I'm going with Coach Prime. And again, I like Dion, but I think the thing that has made me hate him this year is the amount of coverage, media coverage that he's gotten, and yet his team went 4-8. Like Sports Illustrated's put him on the
Sportsman of the year.
cover, Sportsman of the Year,
Matt.
and for
Yep.
what? Like, honest to God, like because you got a bunch of media coverage. Like, I don't get how that makes somebody Sportsman of the Year. So, again, I like Dion. If he was doing this somewhere else, maybe I would just like not care, or I'd be more intrigued and interested in rooting for him a little bit more if it wasn't at Colorado. But that's my answer for most hated coach in 2023. It's Deion Sanders.
So that's interesting. So I'm that parlays well nicely into mine. So my most hated team from our schedule in 23 was Colorado.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't hate Prime. I'm with you. Like
right.
I actually, there's some flash there. Sometimes it's obnoxious or whatever. I think I told you guys, I used to listen to and watch his speeches on Twitter before he was even at Colorado. Like the guy preaches old school values. He preaches hard work and accountability. Yes, there's a lot of flash and whatever, but I actually sort of admire what he says and what he does and all of that. And hey, he gets credit. They went from 1-11 to 4-8. He should get credit for that. So I did not include Prime in this. So let me first give you thoughts on Colorado, and then I'll expand on what you just said, Matt.
Yes.
So like Colorado, to me, they're irrelevant. They are irrelevant.
Yeah.
We are 49. That series is 49, 21, and 2. The Huskers with 49 wins, Colorado with 21 wins, and then 2 ties. They're not in our ballpark. They're not remotely the same program as we are. They had a couple of good quote unquote national championship caliber teams in what was it, the late 80s or early 90s. That's it. They're not a blue blood. They don't have history. They're garbage. They're a poverty program. They can barely afford to pay Prime. Okay. So like I can't stand losing to them because they're an afterthought. I don't consider them a rival because it was never a problem to beat them because we always kick their ass.
Right.
And it drives me nuts. The 2 games of the Frost era when we played them, we handed them those games.
Oh yeah.
Those were should have won, not could have won. Should have won. That first one, yes, it was close, but there were about 5 different plays. The one that sticks in my mind is it was 3rd and long. Martinez was hurt. Andrew Bunch hits JD Spielman in the hands for what would have been a first down to ice the game, and then we could have just kneeled it from there, and Spielman dropped the ball.
Yeah.
But there were about 5 different plays like that where we had the game in hand and just lost it. The second time we were up 17-0 at halftime, and then stuff hit the fan. This year, kind of a mess. We've talked about that. But it just drives me absolutely nuts. Clearly it's getting under my skin more than I want to admit, but like they're not even remotely in the conversation with Nebraska when we're talking about great college football programs. So like the blood never boils that much when we go into a game with them because they're not on our level. And we never, like for a year when we were growing up, we never had to think about it. They could, that 94 when what we were 2 and they were 3 or vice versa, and Cordell Stewart and company came into town, and it wasn't even a game. We beat them 24-7. We manhandled them. So that's how I think about Colorado. So it drives me all the more nuts when we beat them. To your point about the hype, Mattio, I am of the firm belief that, and even like professional journalists fall into this, it's clear that if you either jump on the hype train or like come out really strong against them, either way, like that, for whatever reason, maybe it's prime, it's probably prime, whatever, it generates a reaction from people. And so people do this for clicks and for follows, in my opinion.
Right.
Sure.
RG3 does it.
Yeah.
That guy RJ Young, who I think is a Fox Sports guy, does it. This other Blue Blood Bias Twitter account. I don't know if you guys follow that. It's I mean, they're the ones that put out there that Colorado's going to be in the playoff and Shedeur is going to win the Heisman, et cetera.
Oh yeah, I saw they put them in their they put them in their preseason top 25. They got Colorado in there.
That's what they call clickbait. I mean, that's what the kids call clickbait, guys.
Yeah, totally.
They did put us in the preseason top 25 though too. They put Nebraska in there.
No, I'll take it.
That's realistic. Okay, all right, good for them. Yep. Actually, kind of like those guys now.
Actually, as it turns out, they're okay.
I'll follow them.
They're trying to be provocative. They're trying to get followers and clicks and what we all play that game to some extent, but
not us.
No, we don't. Of course, we're just interested in putting out thoughtful, interesting content that the fan base will like.
Not biased at all.
No, not at all. But I just think that's probably like a 6 or 7 win team next year because they're going to the Big 12, which is an easier conference, but they still got to beat Oklahoma State. And Kansas is good now, and Kansas State. And then they got to play Utah, who's now in the Big 12, and Arizona's good now, and Arizona State. And then their non-conference, they go North Dakota State, Nebraska, Colorado State in the non-conference. I don't think they may win all 3, but they could lose 1 or 2 of those.
They might not. Yeah, they might not even beat North Dakota State.
Like, North Dakota State might come in and just shove it down their throat.
Yeah.
North Dakota State's the kind of team that could take the ball away on defense and hold it for 12 minutes at a time on offense and really frustrate the hell out of them. So anyway, it's just, anyway, it's just
take it easy. All right. Good Lord. I can feel your anger.
It makes you stronger.
Flow through you. All right. We're on to the Star Wars. We're on to the Palpatine imitations already. Okay. Well, that was we wanted to start with that one to get the blood flowing. We'll do a couple serious topics and we're going to end on a fun one too. All right, guys, what got better in 2023? I'm guessing there's at least one that we'll all say. Matty, we'll start with you on this one.
I think for me, and these go hand in hand. Defensively, I mean, that's the obvious one. Anything defensively, but tackling and pursuit of the ball. So like guys getting to the ball, but then there was we rarely had missed tackles or guys breaking tackles. There was a lot of gang tackling, and obviously that's credit to Tony White and his defensive staff. I mean, that's been well documented. That was the blatant glaring, like if you watch football, you could see that. And I feel like we saw it like really early on, like the first game against Minnesota. It was like, oh, this looks a little different. And just the fact that numbers wise, that holding them to, holding so many good teams, pretty good running teams to really low rushing totals. I think we all kind of wondered how a 3-3-5 defense would work in the Big Ten when it's 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and they're just going to try to jam it down your throat. Clearly it worked just fine. So pursuit and tackling.
I had to piggyback off that too. Like they're open on the defense side of the ball. Like their open field tackling was fantastic. That's just one of those ones that like they made the tackles that they had to make in one-on-one situations, which normally you just don't see that a lot of times when it's just one-on-one. So I felt like they did a great job of that too. Owens, do you have anything else you want to add there?
That was my main one, was pursuit and tackling.
Gotcha. Yeah, you're right, TJ. Everybody's going to say the same thing. Defense, clearly, was just better. But I will say towards the end, it started off a little rocky, but even offensively, just our O-line play, I think, got a lot better as the season went on. I felt like our running game definitely picked up. So it didn't start off that great, but since we couldn't pass the ball worth a shit, we had to rely on the run heavily. And I felt like our offensive line definitely stepped their game up going farther into the season and creating bigger holes for people like Emmett Johnson to kind of, ground and pound for a few extra yards. So I felt like we did get better in that aspect. A lot more improvement to be had, but definitely for what we were working with, I felt like we definitely had a big time improvement towards the end of the season on that side of the ball.
Love that. Good, Jeff.
Love that, Geoff. Yeah. Do you have anything else, Jeff?
No.
Okay. So I totally agree on the defense. You guys summed it up nicely. We've quoted it before. We'll say it again. Number 8 nationally in rushing defense, number 13 in total defense, number 15 in scoring defense. And I just think, the big picture thought that sticks in my mind is Tony White shows up. They added a couple guys in the portal and we had some freshmen contribute, but it's a lot of the same guys on a D that's been average to bad the several years before that, and just completely flipped the script. And I think all Husker fans believe that no matter what else is happening in the program, good year, bad year, good team, whatever, we should always have a great defense. And it was just so refreshing. It was like you almost held during the Minnesota game, they started getting stops, and you're like, wait, this defense looks really good. And then by about the third or fourth game, you're like, I think we can actually count on this defense. I think the defense is going to be really good. And it finally, clearly they were really good. And so that's just a really huge bright spot. Huge credit to Tony White. And then there's a ton of young guys coming back, right?
Yeah.
So Quentin Newsom's leaving because he has no eligibility left. He's going to go try to play in the league. Good luck. I think he's got a great chance. Omar Brown, I think, also has a chance. He's going to the league. Is there anybody else? I think that's it. Nash, Hutmaker, the Polar Bear's coming back. Ty Robinson's coming back. Gifford's coming back. John Bullock said he's coming back. Yeah. So they're gonna have to. Oh, and I guess we lost Reimers doesn't have any eligibility left, and Nick Henrich. I think he had one more year. He's had a couple injuries. He decided not to come back. I don't know if he's going to try to play in the league or just be done with football. So we'll have to shore up maybe the linebacker position, maybe a couple spots in the defensive backfield. But you kind of at the point already, even after 1 year, where you just trust Tony White to do it. He'll just figure it out. And, they've established a strong culture on that side of the ball. So just really excited about that. And then the other thing I put was just the foundation of the program. And it's interesting to me because I feel like we all tell ourselves this with every new coach, but as fans, we never really know for sure. Both Chattel and Sharp brought this up unprompted. We didn't ask them about it. They both brought up a variation of the same thing, which was basically intangibles. Like the foundation of the program got better. Expectations, communication of those expectations, sort of the intangible things like effort, things like that, basically got better and stronger. And they've Chattel's point was, we haven't had a builder maybe since Devaney. And that's no discredit to guys who were successful like Osborne, because Osborne inherited something different than what Rule inherited, for instance. But I think guys have tried to come in and maybe win quickly, or they've tried to come in and do this or that. Again, each of the previous coaches did good things. We're not here to sort of go over that ground again. But I just think Rule has a process. It does take time. It's about not cutting corners. It's about doing things the right way. Hopefully, what we saw with the defense is exemplary of. Is that the word? Anyway, is
you just made that word up.
An example of, I didn't make the word up, but I might have misused it. Anyway, is an example of what we can expect for the rest of the program to follow, hopefully, right? But sort of the foundation of the program, the culture, the expectations. Culture is an overused word, but it is really important. Hopefully, we still saw those close gut punch losses. Hopefully, as his system continues to take hold, those things start to turn into wins.
Yeah, I think so. And I'm kind of sick of the culture word too, but it is real. I think, I think we got Matt Rule at the perfect time. We've referenced, I don't know how many times on this program that we're as Husker fans, we are just so beaten down and just abused, and we still keep showing up, but hope's a powerful thing. And I think I personally, I've thought about this a lot, and even going back to even before this season started, when Matt Rule was kind of ramping things up. He's a motivator, right? The guy's going to win the press conference. And from what we've seen, I wanted to bring this up too. I'd loved that YouTube series kind of to give us a look inside the locker room.
His speeches.
And the guy just has a way with words and how to motivate. He's motivating the team. He's motivating the fan base. And this whole, this whole OOU one of us thing, like I've always felt like, okay, what's one thing, football terminology, all that aside, X's and O's aside, what's one word that I associate with Nebraska football? I think of family. I just do. We watch the games with our family. We have memories with our families. It's like we're when on a Saturday, on a college football Saturday, when Nebraska's playing football, I feel like a family member with a 1.8, 1.9 million people in the state of Nebraska. And I think Matt Rule has tapped into something to have it all kind of be like it's all of us. It's going to take all of us to get this ship righted and to get it going the way we want it to. It's going to take the players, the coaches, the administration, the fans, all have to be united for one purpose. And I think he knows that. And I think through all his actions and all his words and everything, he's tapped into something. And that's the best way I can describe it. But it feels like we're all kind of together a little bit more than we had been in quite a while. And and I'm going to stop because I might choke up and start crying because I just love it. And I want it so bad to work out. I'm totally drinking the Rule-Aid. Even despite the 4-game losing streak to end the year, there's good things on the horizon, boys.
I'm glad that you said that because, like, I don't know, granted, I've only been to mainly Husker football games. I've been to one Notre Dame USC. It was a great game. Fantastic experience, by the way. South Bend is just a magical place.
Here we go again.
Beautiful.
Cares, Jeff.
Okay, sorry. But like, for a good example is when we were at the Iowa game, Matt, like I told this to some coworkers and my wife even, like, I didn't do this at a Notre Dame game.
She doesn't listen to you.
You keep your
sorry.
my wife's name out of your mouth, damn it.
Okay, Will Smith.
But like, only at a Nebraska game, like whenever there was something good happen, it didn't matter what it was. Like, there was some dudes sitting in front of us, complete strangers, but like I was like hopping on some guy's back, like putting him like borderline headlock, or like a complete stranger, I'm like punching him in the rib cage after we get a first down, and afterwards I'm like, I'm sorry, man, I'm sorry, I'm just really excited, and he's like, it's all good, brother, it's all good. Like, the complete strangers, just camaraderie. I just love it. It's so awesome.
your best friend. Your best friends in those stadium bleacher seats for 3 hours or so, and then you get kicked in the groin at the end and you lose the game and you walk away and never speak to that person again.
I'll never see that guy ever again. I have no idea who he is. Seemed like a genuinely good person though.
Yeah,
he's sitting around talking. He's sitting around right now talking about the little leprechaun with the mustache who kept jumping on him during the Iowa game.
You're not going to believe this, sweetheart, but this little dude would not get off me.
I keep having nightmares about it. All right. Well, you guys did a good job putting a bow on it. And I think that's, I feel like for a long time we wanted to believe in this thing or that thing, and I feel like for the first time in a long time we have something firm and concrete that we can hope for and believe in. And so hopefully, we got to see that play out in 2024 and beyond. But hopefully that foundation is set for next year.
Yeah.
All right. Next category. We each pick top 3 players in 2023. I'll go first on this one. For me, the first one I picked was Luke Reimer. Just that guy is such a baller he got on the field as a true freshman. Did he start as a true freshman? Maybe, I can't remember.
I don't think so. He got a lot of playing time though.
He got a lot of playing time. He's out of eligibility now, but he's been such a stalwart. I mean, he's just the kind of guy he'd have, 6, 8, 12 tackles in a game. Sometimes he'd be on the highlight reel. Sometimes he wouldn't, but he always did his job. He always played hard. He played injured a lot. And so some of this is because he had yet another great year. But then I also just wanted to put him on the list just as a tip of the cap for his effort and what he's done and what he's meant to the program for the last, for his entire career. And I think also, hopefully in the next 2 or 3 years, the program turns a corner. We become that winning program again consistently. I think we're going to look back on this season and guys like Reimer who helped anchor it and set the tone. And he'll be part of the reason for that success, and he can take credit for some of that success. Number 2 for me was Nash Hutmaker, the polar bear. Really exploded onto the scene this year. I think we've all been excited about him since he came to Nebraska as a recruit and really became, I think, one of the best defensive linemen in the country this year. Super excited to have him back. The third one might surprise you guys. I'm not sure. Well, I'm just going to say, I went ahead with Heinrich Harburg, aka William Wallace. And I'll tell you why. Um, I'm not sure he was one of our three best players in 2023. I'm not sure he's ever going to take a snap at quarterback for Nebraska again. Right?
Yeah.
They're clearly exploring their options in the portal. Who knows what that looks like for him in the future? But man, the kid battled his guts out. He went 5-1 as a starter. Okay.
Yeah.
Went 5-1 as a starter. And some games he just took an absolute beating. He's a heck of an athlete. I hope they keep finding ways to get him on the field, but he deserves all the credit and praise just for what he did this year. And he went out there and he led. By all accounts, the team responded to him. He led the team to several victories. And again, the biggest thing that stuck out to me was just the guts and the effort, man. There's a reason we called him William Wallace after every game because he's a total warrior. So those are my three. Geoff?
God, now I don't even want to mention Chuba now after that. I was going to put him on the list, but you're right, TJ. Like, I didn't even think about that. Like,
of course I'm right. But you should stick with your list. Stick to your guns, Jeff.
William Wallace, though, you're right, man. That dude, I've totally forgot about that guy just taking lick after lick. The dude does not slide. He's just lowering his shoulder and just taking
did not know how to slide
time. No. And I tend to agree with you there. I was going to say Chuba too, just because, at the beginning of the season, I remember whenever anything went wrong, people were like, how come we don't even give Purdy a shot? Like, is he that bad? Do we have that big of a problem that we can't even trust him at all to put him in regardless? And I feel like, Owens, you said this, he didn't win a game with us, but he looked good. I thought he played well for the most part. Yeah, he threw some pretty bad interceptions in game time decisions, but we asked, we call the plays. We put him in those situations too. So I felt like he did a pretty good job just because when we needed him, I think we got what we asked of him, to be honest with you. But the other two, defensive side of the ball, Quentin Newsome, you said, TJ, you mentioned him a little while ago. I had him on my list. It's no secret I'm a fan of the sexy play and the blocked field goal. If you would have had me make that list a few months ago, I was sold immediately with that block field goal return during the Purdue game. That was so freaking awesome. It hasn't happened since 2014. I'm a sucker for that type of shit. So, and in that same game, I'm pretty sure that's when we dropped it was either a kickoff or a punt. And that was a game-changing moment where had Purdue landed on that ball, we could be talking. That would have been another loss for us. Potentially. And he was
Johnny on the spot there.
He was right there for it. So, big props to him. And then the other one, Emmett Johnson, we were talking about the O-line, just our running game got better and he did a really good job of ground and pound. And he was good he reminds me of, you can put aside his personal life right now, but Frank Gore, workhorse, like just put your head down and run type guy. Those are my top three. That's what I was rolling with. I was going to say some other defensive players, but I figured we were going to hit all of those on the board anyways, because the whole defensive side of the ball
I think we could say the whole defense. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
I love Emmett Johnson too. I'm super excited about Emmett Johnson's future. Matty-O.
Well, I'll take care of the defensive players for you then, Jeff.
Thank you.
There's a little bit of overlap there, but I had an honorable mention just in case somebody else mentioned any of my guys. So Polar Bear, which we already mentioned. So then I've got a backup to that, but I'm a big Jamari Butler guy. Pretty sure he led us in sacks. I think 5.5 or 6 sacks on the season. It was just always getting after the passer, always in the backfield, and it feels like a high energy guy, coming off the edge. And so I'm super excited to have him back next year and see, if he can get even better. Cause he was pretty damn good this year. So Polar Bear, Jamari Butler. And then a guy that, for me, if I had to give one corn cob for the whole season, I feel like it should go to somebody that maybe improved or surprised us. Ty Robinson, guys, elevated his play this year big time. Like some kind of switch flipped with that guy this year. And as a former defensive tackle, watching that guy just wreak havoc, plug up the running lanes, get after the quarterback, and just be a general leader on the defensive line. I couldn't be more excited to have a guy coming back. I think he's kind of unlocked something, and I can't wait to see what he does next year. And then I'll throw one more since Polar Bear already got mentioned. Isaac Gifford, I thought, was just a man. He just played like a dude. And
Stud.
I same thing there. I'm so excited to have him coming back. He would come up from his rover spot or whatever position it was that we were calling it that he played. I mean, he's basically like, you could say he's a safety, you could say he's a glorified outside linebacker or whatever it is. He would come up and just lay the wood. And just really enjoyed watching him play. And I love when our Lincoln kids get on the field and show out and play some good ball for the Huskers. So those are my guys. Of course, a couple of defensive linemen in there, and we could even call it Butler a defensive lineman, even though he's probably more of an outside linebacker or rush in. So those are my guys.
Super exciting to have most of these guys coming back too. So I love that. All right, next category is, and similar to, I feel like there's one we're all going to agree on here, but what needs to get better what needs to improve by the time 2024 rolls around? Anybody want to start on this one?
I'll go.
Jeffrey?
For my own mental health, like passing the ball confidently and effectively, most importantly, confidently.
Passing the ball. Throwing the pigskin.
When I watched games, was I the only one that whenever we dropped back to pass, I was like, oh shit, oh god, like just
no.
9 times out of 10, I knew something terrible was about to happen.
Exactly. You just hold your breath. Your breath.
For my own mental well-being, we just have to figure that out. Which, Rayola, when this drops, if you're listening, I feel like this is going to move the needle, and he's definitely coming now simply because of this podcast alone. We shouldn't have a problem with that.
He's listening live, probably.
Yeah. Somehow he's hacked into this thing and listening right now. Right. So passing the ball, like we just have to figure that out, like football fundamentals. We have to figure out how to pass the ball. But I mean, this is going to be obvious, but we've got to figure out we've been dealing with this forever. Win the close games, for the love of God, man. Like it's the same old story every week with us, where we find a way to just crap it down our leg when we should have this win, when it's basically gifted to us. So we have to win close games. I know that sounds obvious, but it's just, that's the way we've been losing for so long, that we have to figure that we have to fill that gap, so to speak. We got to figure that shit out.
No, I think you're spot on. We got to get over the hump in those close games. And the way Sharp talked about it was, which I thought was really interesting, was like, get to that, be that team where your baseline is 7 or 8 wins. Your baseline is not 3 or 4 or 5 wins. Like, get to that. So you get back together in January, and you're going to have at least 7 wins. And then where do we find 2 or 3 more?
Yeah.
Right. Who are the teams maybe we're not supposed to beat that we beat? We got to get over that hump first. And he said, the other thing he said was, we got to turn the corner and be like, who are the winners in the program? And not suggesting that there's a bunch of losers in the program now, but how do we go to Michigan State and beat a 2-6 Michigan State team that's coming off of 4 losses in a row that everybody thinks we should win? How do we start winning those games and turning the corner and making plays when we need to make plays, all that sort of thing? So that's really spot on, Jeff. I love that. Matty O, what do you got?
Piggybacking a little bit off of all of those comments, offensive rhythm / play calling. We have to find a way to get the offense, because we've talked about this again. We've talked about this before, but it felt like it would be chunk play and then incomplete pass, run, punt, and it was like there never felt like there was any kind of rhythm with the offense. And I blame that almost squarely on the offensive coordinator, the $1.4 million man, Marcus Satterfield. But also we got to give the guy a little bit of grace. That we know now for sure, after 12 games of it, that quarterback room, as much as we love William Wallace and how much of a battler and a warrior he was, that quarterback room was deficient. So we were handcuffed a little bit on I think what we could call, even though, Coach Sat's history would lend us to believe that there are more turnovers in his offenses. I mean, for God's sakes, we were running option football and dialing up, the belly G option pass, which we love,
which was lovely.
which was lovely.
Damn good.
But
Sexy.
that was not part of the game plan going into the season. So I give him a
Right.
little credit for adapting a little bit as much as he could. But then it's almost like, okay, that worked. Now let's go back to trying to do what we wanted to do in the first place.
Right.
And it's like, okay, well, wait a minute. We won 3 games in a row. Why are we trying to go back to why go away from what was working?
Yep.
So hopefully with, another year and understanding a lot of the personnel that's coming back, that'll look different. But I'm putting that squarely on the offensive staff. Like, let's get some rhythm going here.
Yeah.
Jeff mentioned the offensive line got better. Okay. Use those guys. Run the damn ball.
So,
and again, handcuff of personnel. Running back room was really banged up. Okay. But the bright side of that is we got to see Emmett Johnson and see what that kid can do. So now, you get some guys back, you get Gabe Urban back healthy, hopefully, and maybe add a guy or two somewhere. And, then it's like, okay, let's be balanced. Let's run the damn ball. And maybe we got a quarterback that can actually throw a play action pass. And that's how we're going to win ball games, in my opinion.
that's a good point. Just the consistency. You'd see that in game. Like we have 3 successful running plays in a row, and then we would run like a double reverse option pass, Hail Mary, flea flicker.
Or let's just go
no consistency.
Let's go huck it, chuck it football after we just rolled off 3 runs for 30 yards. Then it's like, okay, now let's throw on first down and throw on second down. And then but now we're third and long.
Not just throw, like do like a straight drop back.
Yeah.
Right? And try to hit some back shoulder throw or something instead of like a simple rollout or a little play action or something, like trying to make it easy on the guys. Nope. Let's see how smart we can be and draw up some ridiculous play that our guys can't execute right now.
Right.
Yeah. $1.4 million. I kind of, can I call him Ted DiBiase? Like I think I might go with that.
All right, Matty-O, did you have anything else?
No, offensive play calling and or offensive rhythm is my what needs to improve.
All right,
I like it.
So number 1 on my list, all I wrote was offense.
Yeah, I mean, you could just say that. Well, we didn't know we could just use one word.
Yeah.
So we've kind of beat the horse dead. The last thing I'll say on that is, Marcus Satterfield has been actively out there trying to recruit new quarterbacks and recruit other players. Matt Rule has defended him. He's clearly coming back next year. All I'm going to say is I'm sure he's a nice man. I'm sure he's a good man. I don't wish any ill will toward him.
No.
If he happens to be flying a cargo plane full of rubber dog shit out of Hong Kong before this clock strikes 12 on New Year's Eve, I will not lose any sleep over that. I don't think that's likely at this point. But I will not lose any sleep over that.
No. And hey, you know what? For the record, we're rooting for the guy. I mean, we don't want to be ripping apart our offensive coordinator week to week. He has deserved it. And we're going to call it like we see it, and in the nicest way possible, tell him that he has sucked terribly, and we need him to get his shit together.
And he needs to give some of that money to some of the other coaches to keep them around.
Yeah.
So, quit being selfish, Sat, greedy.
The second,
could you imagine?
Go ahead, Jeff.
I was just going to say that you're right. We're rooting for him. I want him to succeed. And I'm just curious if we do land a big time quarterback with some talent that can throw the ball. I'm just curious to see what that combination could look like too. That is something to kind of look forward to if we had just an effective quarterback that can pass the ball.
Well, look, it's interesting because we can, a lot could happen between now and signing day on Wednesday. And then we can technically add players in the portal through August, I think, right? Certainly through May.
Yeah.
But and there's a lot of young pieces to be excited about. The young wide receivers, Jalen Lloyd, Malachi Coleman, Jaden Doss, Fedoni, Emmett Johnson, Gabe Irvin, Ramir Johnson are coming back in the running back room. A lot of the offensive line comes back. But what we've heard consistently, a point Chattel made, is they need more dudes. They
Yeah.
need more playmakers. So I will
Yep.
be very excited. Like, no one will be more excited than the Common Fan podcast if we land Dylan Raiola, the #1 high school quarterback in the country. But let's not pretend like we're going to expect a true freshman to come in and fix everything that ails the offense his first
Yeah.
year of college football. So I need to see too, like, what else are we addressing in the offseason? How are we, if they get Raiola and Danny Kalen, that's a home run. Good for
Mhm.
them. But if they don't add anybody more senior or more experienced, then I'm really curious what that's going to look like in the spring and in the fall of next year. So there's just a lot of questions still with the offense. I've got two more. Similar to what you said, I put in-game management. Yeah. So not just specific to the offense, but I think we saw maybe more than we expected. I think another thing Husker fans do is whenever we get a new coach and something goes well for a period of time, we say to ourselves, and the game management was so much better than we've seen. But in reality, and there were times when that was true, but in reality, coming out of timeouts and not knowing what play to run, or the penalties I think got better, but then they started popping up at the very worst times against Wisconsin and Iowa, especially.
Yeah.
And just some of the sort of, some of it, I guess you would probably just attribute to year one stuff. So we'll give a little bit of grace there, but you'd really hope that stuff cleans up in year two under Matt Rule.
Right.
And then the last thing I put, so I had this, I didn't mention it. I didn't end up mentioning it a minute ago, but I had it on both my what got better list and what needs to be better in 2024. I put special teams. And what I think about special teams this year was like special teams, it was kind of like, I don't know if you guys ever had that friend or friends who like the guy or the gal could like hammer out a paper at the last minute and get an A on it, right? Or like not, roll out of bed, forgot to study for the test and just like get the A on it, just cruise through, no problem on the test. But then they like couldn't get out of their own way in other areas of life or something like that.
Yeah.
Like just couldn't,
We all know that guy.
yeah, you couldn't make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or something.
Mm.
That's what special teams felt like. We had some moments, baby. The Quentin Newsom, you talked about it, Geoff, the blocked field goal against Purdue, returning that for a touchdown. We had multiple fake punts that worked. We have 2 blocked field goals against Iowa alone. So there was definitely like things we haven't seen that got, in a long time. And like guys were making plays, things got better. And then there were some terrible inconsistencies, whether it was missed field goals or bad
Mhm.
punts,
Yeah.
especially bad punts at the absolute worst time, right?
Yeah.
Right. Not being able to pin a team down inside the 15 or something,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you just love to see, again, with another year of tutelage. I don't know if you tweak the personnel there in any way. I think Tristan Alvano in particular, the young kicker, has a bright future. So I think there's a lot to be hopeful about there, but it does need to get better, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. At least more consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the coverage teams were a lot better too. I think the return teams, again, were a little bit more of a mixed bag.
Yeah, not that I can't remember we didn't give up any return touchdowns or anything like that. So that's good.
No,
Because
I
that
think the
felt
coverage
like
teams
that
were good.
felt like that happened quite a bit. The 5 or 6, 7 years prior, it was like, oh, like I remember I think we were playing maybe Wisconsin or somebody, or I think maybe it was a Rutgers. I don't know. But I remember we scoring and be like, okay, here we go. We got a ball game. And then the next kickoff return touchdown.
Yes.
It's like,
feel
oh
like
my God.
That happened like 3 or 4 times, going back to like Riley or Pelini or something. I feel like that happened multiple times. Where
Well,
it's
there was that
we put
one
our-
kid that went to Wisconsin and ran a kickback against us, and then transferred to Rutgers,
Right,
and then did it to us again. It was like Crookshank or something was his name.
Crookshank. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I forgot about that guy.
So
And you're like, wait a minute, that's the same freaking guy. I'm like, you kidding me?
Dude, also, like that guy's all name team.
Oh yeah, Crookshank.
Crookshank. What a name.
Yeah, that is
What a fantastic name.
Shit,
No, that's so true.
funny.
So so that got better, and I think you just want to see continued improvement there. All right, guys, Common fans, we have one more kind of like real category, and then we have a really fun one that we're going to end with. So bear with us. The next one is reasons for optimism going into 2024. Matteo, why don't you start us off on this one?
Well, I feel like we've kind of mentioned some of the reasons for optimism. My big one is having a year under our belt with Rule, and him having a year under his belt with Nebraska. And I think that first year for a coach at Nebraska it can be kind of eye-opening, right?
Yeah.
I think you get a little bit more of a taste of what a real fishbowl it really is. I think he's got that, that's out of the way. He knows what he's dealing with now. But I think between Tony White and the defense, and the guys we got coming back, I kind of mentioned this when we had Gary Sharp on, but when you have guys coming back for their 6th year of college football, that says something about where they think that this thing is headed and wanting to be a part of something bigger. Because that's such a grind, like to be a college student and play college football. I mean, I know that they probably have a light class schedule in the fall, but to have to go to class and be at practice and be at workouts, and you're traveling with the team to go to away games and all that stuff, to say, you know what, I'm signing up for one more year of this. I think that says a lot about what, how they're doing down there in terms of Rule and the coaching staff. And they've got these guys excited. And these guys, the Ty Robinson and John Bullock and Gifford, these guys coming back that don't have to come back. I think that says a lot. So I'm optimistic about that. I'll have a hell of a lot more optimism for 2024 if we've got a better idea of what our quarterback room is going to look like. But there's enough already that from seeing how this season went in 2023 for me to be absolutely stoked for fall 2024 and how this thing's going to go, and especially looking at how the schedule lines up for us.
Well said, Jeffrey.
Well, optimism wise, I mean, let's just state the obvious here. This last week has given me plenty of optimism about where we're going and what we're trying to do, and not just the quarterback prospects in general. That's great. I mean, obviously the number one sought after quarterback, and we think we might have landed him, is more than enough reason to be optimistic in 2024. But just our aggressiveness, I guess, of just pursuing these recruits right out the gate. You know what I mean? The season ends and boom, we're on it. And we always say that we win the off season, but we do. I mean, this last week has been more exciting than some of the Husker games I watched this season. Like, it's an exciting time, and that aggressiveness and that approach just gives me confidence that these guys know what they're doing. They know what we need, and they know that they have a chance at getting it, and they grind their asses off. And I love it. Matt Rule understands it. I know we always talk about this and say he gets it, and it's cliche to say, but he gets it. He understands it. He knows what we need at these key positions. He knows that it's not going to be easy to get these recruits, and that's why you see it. He's just good with words, press conferences, his halftime speeches. It gives me a whole ton of faith and optimism in years past where it just seems like it was radio silence in the off season and previous coaches. I like the way he does it. At least we know where he's at. We know what he's doing. Last season, before 2023, you always knew where Matt Rule was at. He was always tweeting. He was always letting us know that he was out there working his ass off. And it doesn't look like that's going to change at all in the coming future in the off season. So it gives me hope. Like you said, hanging on hope. I love it. I think he's awesome.
It's good. It's good to have, to see, okay, these guys appear to know what they're doing and appear to have a plan and what they need to bring in. It's not just throwing darts at a wall and say, oh, hey, this guy's a 4-star recruit. Let's recruit him. It's like it seems like they're smart about what they want in their personnel and what they're going to go after, how they're going to approach it. Like, I follow Ed Foley on Twitter, our special teams coordinator, and I love this thing that he does. He did it last year. He's doing it this year. He just tweets pictures of whatever Nebraska high school he's at. And he's eating at these local restaurants and stuff. I absolutely love that.
He's often tweeting pictures of the meal he's eating.
Yes.
Which is awesome.
Yes. Yeah. And it's always something that looks so unhealthy.
What was that? Chicken fried chicken?
Yeah. And but I think it's great. And you know that all these coaches around the state of Nebraska have to absolutely love him and love this coaching staff because
Yeah.
they are trying and grinding so hard with the in-state guys. And that goes a long way, guys. Like I hate to be like, well, remember we look back in the 90s, but we had so many really good in-state guys and a lot of which maybe started as walk-ons. So I mean, there's still that foundation and building that program and building the culture. There have to be some of those in-state guys that will just bleed and sweat for the program that might never even see the field, and then maybe they turn out to be a John Bullock and just work their ass off and end up getting serious playing time, getting a black shirt or something, So that stuff goes a long way. I love it. That's great stuff, Jeff.
Yep.
Love it, Jeffrey. Love it, Matthew. I'll throw in my 2 cents really quickly. Number one reason for optimism for me, we've already talked about it, is the defense. Here's what's interesting though, guys. We know how good the defense was in 2023. And then we talked about how young the defense was and how many guys are coming back. Taking it one step further, I just pulled up the scholarship distribution chart. What's really exciting is to look at, you can go down, yes, guys who are juniors about to be seniors, were contributors, but you look at guys who are sophomores and freshmen, Mikai Bayer, the G is silent, Jamari Butler, Chief Borders.
Did you say his first name one more time?
I think it's Mikai. Did I get that right? I don't think I said it
the
right.
G is silent.
I really, honestly, I think it is Bayer.
It's Bayer for sure. And I said it right, so shut your mouth.
Mackay? Isn't it Mackay? I don't know.
That's what I said.
That's what I said.
But
tomato.
Yeah.
We're split hairs here.
Prince Will Uman-Mielen.
Yes.
Matteo, one of your favorites. He's a freshman.
Yes.
Cam Lenhart, another freshman.
Yeah.
Like these guys were not just on the field, they were making plays. Who's the guy, the transfer? I'm not even sure if he's on scholarship that we gave him a corn cob. Why am I blanking on his name?
Oh, Williams. 90. James Williams.
James Williams. Williams. So I think that's what's exciting is not only was the defense excellent, not only are almost all of them coming back, a lot of them will be here for more than just one more year. And so that gives me a lot of optimism. A good defense, as we've seen, can win you a lot of games and keep you in almost every game. And so if we can see some improvement, if the D can take another step, and then we can see some improvement from some of these other sides, the offense and special teams, game management, all these things, I think we have a lot of reason to be optimistic. I had 2 more. The next one is just, it's year 2. So we've talked about this a little bit. I do believe every head coach deserves a lot of grace in year 1.
Mm-hmm.
Transition years are always difficult. You're putting in a new system on offense, a new system on defense. So you're like learning new things just on the X's and O's front. The players are learning new things. And then everything's different. Most guys are playing for a different position coach than the one who recruited them. They're playing for a different offensive or defensive coordinator, different head coach. All these things, expectations. We talked about Rule laying the foundation. We think that's generally a positive, but that's also an adjustment for all the players, right? Yeah. So year 1 is it's rare that year 1 goes well or just things go great right out of the gate.
Right.
And so I just think year 2, I'm really excited to see the growth and the leap that the team takes because they're all so much more familiar with Coach Rule. They've all been sort of ingrained into the system, that sort of thing. So I'm excited about year 2, just for the general big picture reasons. And then the last thing I wrote, this is taking a little bit of a leap of faith, but it's the quarterback situation. I'd love to see us add dudes at other positions as well. Don't get me wrong. But I think we know some more consistent quarterback play this year probably gets us another 1 to 2 to 3 wins, probably.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
And so hopefully, hopefully we're going to get Raiola. Hopefully Kalen sticks with his commitments. I still think there's room then to add a more seasoned guy, or maybe Purdy takes a leap as sort of one of the guys who can win you some games. I don't know exactly what that looks like. But we know the coaching staff is prioritizing bringing in new dudes for the quarterback room. They clearly know it needs to get better. And so I think that's really encouraging, and hopefully it does get better. All right.
Good call.
Hey, guys, that was a really good season review. That was a really good 2023 season recap. Well
Very
done.
well thought out.
Look at
Well
us.
done.
Excellent.
All right, we got
analysis.
one more really fun topic area. I don't know if you guys saw this. Our dear friend Barb from Decatur wrote into the emailed us again, and that's for any common
Love
fans who
Barb.
want to contribute. That's a commonfangbr@gmail.com. Barb with a really insightful question. With the Jeff Sims Amigos combo meal now in retirement, I would love to hear suggestions for new Husker inspired Amigos combo meals to help get the common fans through the off season. Signed, Extra Ranch with mine, please. Barb from Decatur.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Barb.
we love
Thanks,
you,
Barb.
Barb. Thanks for the contribution as always.
Love it. Can I just
So,
say
guys,
before we even jump into it, it's a secret menu
You-
item still. You can still get it. You just have to ask for
the
it.
Jeff
Okay?
Sims
It's
combo.
still
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yep.
How recent? How recently? How much? When's the last time you went with the Jeff Sims?
I want to say 2 weeks ago. So it's fairly recent.
Okay.
And I mean, it's a significant price reduction. I mean, for what you get, $8.99. If you were to order that, just handpicking those things off the menu individually, you're looking at like $14. So
Yeah.
it's a big savings.
Well, and I think we need to shout out. We've had a couple of common fans, Paul and Lucas, have sent the program them actually a live video of them ordering the Jeff Sims combo meal. Hey, and if somebody wants to do that this week, we want to know. I think we'd kind of like to know if if they will still honor that
Common fans
honor that Jeff Sims combo, and maybe even if you want to video yourself asking the Amigos drive-through workers if they've heard anything about who Amigos corporate might be looking at for next fall. We would like to know.
I just
Any
want to see
insight?
people
We'd
ordering
we'd love to break the news. We'd love to be Woodward and Bernstein here.
Video yourselves ordering the Jeff Sims combo. Videotape it, post it on social media. We'd love to see it.
Yes.
So Barb's email inspired a little bit of a widening of this topic. Here's what we put on our agenda, sort of our outline or our criteria for the episode. Who should take over the Amigos combo meal? So which player? And then what other, here's how I wrote it, guys. And then I broke my own rule, but I wrote it as what other player / restaurant sort of team ups, matchups would you like to see in 2024? I actually expanded it. I have a few examples. They're not all restaurants. Some of them are local businesses or institutions. So
okay.
Hope you guys are okay with that. So if you guys we're just putting it out there, Amigos or otherwise.
Yeah.
Matteo, what'd you have on this one?
Well, see, I struggled a little bit with the Amigos part, but I mentioned how much I love Jamari Butler. So the best I could do there, and this is nothing sexy or not that great, but it was the Butler burrito combo for Amigos. Okay. Now I had that. So that's all I had for the Amigos part. So if you want me to go forward with my other possible, okay.
We would.
How about this one? I think it's documented on the pond. I'm a big Thomas Fedoni fan. I think with that last name Fedoni, I mean you got to be Italian, right? So I've got somebody local. I'm a big Vincenzo's fan here in Lincoln, down in the Haymarket. I haven't had Napoli's. I know they've got a couple of locations. I think here. Jeff says it's fantastic. How about a Fedoni rigatoni at one of these places, or something Italian? But that kind of had the rhyme, the name pop. The Fedoni rigatoni.
Yes.
Maybe even get him in a commercial, have him, kind of put on a Goodfellas type suit or something, like a 3-piece number.
Good. Matt, playing all the stereotypes. Good, man.
Right. Thank you.
Hey, Godfathers has done it for years. I mean, they had the guy do it, right?
That's fair.
So I got that Fedoni rigatoni. Me and Mrs. Owens are huge Zesto fans. We love a good ice cream.
Okay.
In the warmer months when the old school Zesto is still open, and it was like 11th and South, we get the kids to bed, and I'd run quick down to Zesto, make sure I had cash because they only take cash at that location. Get us a couple of mix-ins. Okay, if you've never had Zesto, the mix-in is like their version of the Blizzard. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm thinking Zesto. What goes with Zesto? How about a polar bear sundae?
Love
or
it.
a polar bear peanut butter cup mixin.
Oof,
Okay.
delicious.
How about that?
Delicious.
Now I don't know if the good folks at Zesto have the marketing budget for that, to pay a guy. But it
Listen,
could be maybe something out of goodwill,
maybe you
right?
add
You
a
know?
couple, maybe you add a couple of bucks onto the cost of it. You pass that sponsorship
There
fee
we
right
go,
along to the customer,
right to polar bear.
and then it goes straight to the polar bear. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Now the last one I had, and I don't have any kind of name for this or anything like that, but being the Runzatic that I am, and I'm not going to hear any runs of slander from you, Jeff.
Yeah, you keep your mouth shut, Geoff.
I would love to see Runza get into this thing, get into the NIL ball game. And I don't
It's
think
just
there's
hard.
anyone better than if we get Dylan Raiola to do a Raiola Runza meal.
I kind of had that same idea.
And if
Stole my idea,
whatever one
okay.
might be his favorite, you go classic, go the original, or go cheese. Maybe there's something weird, maybe something really cool or something really sexy that I don't even know about. Maybe we can go that route with Dylan. Maybe he come up with his own Runza. I think we should let him. If he wants to, we should let him.
Whatever he wants to do.
But yeah, go with the Raiola Runza meal. Maybe you throw in some frings with that. Cider ranch for dipping. Because Amigos Ranch, Runza Ranch, it's a pretty dead heat. We might have to do a poll sometime on which people prefer, but they're both very, very good. So those are mine. Those are my picks for those.
I gotta say that was outstanding, Matteo.
That's pretty good.
I'd love to
dude.
see him happen. I'd love to see him happen.
Well, the reason Runs is not in this game or in this world, Matt, is, I mean, can you imagine how hard it is to pitch to somebody? Hey, like, would you endorse this?
Don't you do it.
Beef and cabbage.
Don't
hot
you.
pocket?
You.
I mean, what a sales pitch, right?
Shut your damn mouth, Langley.
This is such Nebraska slander. In your
Whatever.
It is so much more than a beef and it's so much more than a beef and cabbage hot pocket.
Okay,
This is
for $5 more, you can put some cheese in it too for $5 more.
That is inaccurate. That is inaccurate. And then Jeff, this is
Tuesdays. They're giving those things away for free.
They're not. This is food just like Grandma used to make, Jeff.
Offloading inventory.
Food just like Grandma used to make.
I remember those commercials with the old lady in the commercial. I remember that.
And the Temperature Tuesday is marketing genius, Jeff. Who goes there and just goes, yeah, I'm just going to do the Temperature Tuesday. You still have to buy the drink and the fries. And then who's just getting that? And they're like, you know what? Throw on a couple of cookies, or you know what? Let me get an extra order of fries. It's genius.
There goes our sponsorship opportunity with Runza. Anyway,
Sorry,
I got to be honest. Most of the time when I go to Runza, I get a burger, but I don't hate the Runza. Though.
Well, they do have a great burger. Runza is fantastic. And if anyone's listening, out of Runza,
I do.
And they have excellent fries too.
Yeah, for sure. Ranch is good too.
I'm going to go next because I expect either some really awesome things from Geoff and Lincoln or just some weird stuff. So I would like Geoff to go last. So as far as who takes over the Amigos combo special, I didn't have an idea of like what the special should be.
Right.
But my thought was Ty Robinson takes it over.
Yeah. Let's get him some.
Similar to you, Matteo, like my first thought was, well, whoever plays quarterback should take it over. And then I was like, well, we had 3 quarterbacks this year. Like that doesn't seem like a sustainable situation quite yet. So let's get we know Ty Robinson is going to be a leader on the team. He's going to, play all year. Knock on wood, hopefully he stays healthy and all that. But like, let's just give it like somebody who's going to be like steady. What do you want from your Amigos combo meal? You want it to be the same every time. You want it to be steady. You want it to be reliable. You want it to be, delicious. So I think not that, Ty Robinson is steady, delicious, reliable, or not delicious, steady, reliable, and consistent. So I think Ty Robinson for the Amigos combo meal. I had help. I'm going to give shout out to my wife, Sally Shannon, and my 2 boys. The baby Charlotte is a little too young to really have this conversation yet. So Charlotte was there, just good for morale. But the two boys, Michael and Hudson, like literally, I didn't come up with any one of these. My entire family helped me come up with these. And so it was awesome. So the first one Michael came up with on his own. He came up with both the partnership idea and then the idea for what the actual special would be.
I can't wait for this. So
his idea was that the polar bear would have a partnership with the Lincoln Zoo. And
okay.
If the polar bear gets a sack in a game, then for the next week, entry fee is half off for any.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like
Brilliant.
That's
super
great.
proud of that.
Lincoln
Yeah.
Zoo, if you're listening,
Yeah,
Let's
Lincoln
go.
Zoo.
take
Oh.
heed.
Hello.
Take heed in this advice.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
and maybe
John
even,
Chapo. Hey, John Chapo, you listening?
and maybe even, if you can show your ticket to the game, maybe a couple of free leaves to feed to the giraffes. I don't
There you
know.
go.
I don't know.
Something. Yeah.
Right.
Love that.
All right. So
Brilliant.
God, that's a
Love
good one.
that.
the second one was Hudson, the 6-year-old, and my wife. They kind of came up with this one together. For whatever reason, they thought that the Heine dog sounded like a good idea. So the Heinrich
Okay.
Harburg hot dog. I don't know if it was the
Okay.
age thing or whatever, but I feel like the Heine
Heine
dog
dog.
kind of sounds good, right?
Tiny
It
dog.
sounds
So
awesome.
they
Actually.
proposed like a partnership between Harburg and Fairbury brand hot dogs,
Okay.
Okay.
right?
Brilliant.
Right? And just
Mhm.
selling the Heine dog. I don't know if you do that. Maybe you do that in the grocery store. Maybe you sell it at the stadium. I don't know where you sell
What do
that.
you
That's-
put on the Heine dog? What do you put on it?
Jeff,
Heinz.
that's a very individual, personal decision that
If you
people
do
should
anything
be-
but mustard, you're
people
disgusting.
should be allowed to make on their own.
Okay.
I look, I agree. Normally I get multiple hot dogs, and so on at least one of them I go only mustard. But then
Mhm.
sometimes on the others, I kind of roll around in the dirt. I'll do ketchup, I'll do mustard, I'll do relish, I'll do whatever you got, whatever's sitting around, hot sauce, whatever.
I ventured into dill relish this last year for the first time ever.
Oh, I bet you did.
Delicious. I can't believe I've been missing out on that for so long. Damn,
Yeah,
it was
I'll
good.
do some relish.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
go without. I can go without ketchup on a hot dog. I feel like that's
I
child's
Eh.
play.
I
Don't
go
need
without
that.
I can go without anything on a hot dog. I just eat the hot dog. It doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
I go
I've
without
done
a
that
bun.
too.
Especially
Golf
especially
course, housed one.
oh yeah,
I'm not
the delicious a delicious Fairbury hot dog especially.
I'm not joking, guys. Now this was over a decade ago. I've eaten a hot dog cold without a bun, like just a hot dog.
Oh, yeah.
Not even cooked. I'm not joking.
It's
Chop
been
those up,
years.
put 'em some
It's
mac
been
and
years, but
cheese.
I've done that.
I
Yeah.
was
Done that.
single. I was single. I think what it was. I was single, and my brother sent everybody like Omaha steaks packages
Franks.
Mhm.
for being in his wedding. And so like I got back from a late night at the bars and I had no food at my house other than
Yep.
this dog. And for whatever reason, like didn't even warm it up. Like I didn't have buns, I didn't
Wow.
have ketchup, and I didn't even warm
Get
it up.
it.
I just ate the hot dog cold. So
My follow-up question to that though is along the line, not to get too off topic here, but have you ever used a piece of bread as a bun instead
Yeah.
of
oh
like
sure.
a
Oh, of
hot dog
course.
bun?
Oh yeah.
Of course.
Been
Yes.
there. Yep.
Yeah. Who hasn't done that? Yes. The last one, I got to give credit to my Michael boy again, the 9-year-old. So
Yeah.
this one, I was trying to think of other ideas. We were going through the list of restaurants in Lincoln. And so I said the oven, and he like,
Oh,
he said,
Indian food.
I was just there.
Listen to this, listen to this. He said, what about Jalen Lloyd? And if he scores a touchdown, it's the "You Got Toasted" special at
Boom.
the oven because he toasted somebody and ran by him. And so
Wow.
I don't know. I'm not an Indian food connoisseur, so I don't know what like the foods. Maybe it's a free
Get that kid into
appetizer.
marketing,
Maybe it's a
TJ.
free. I know.
Good
Oh,
Lord.
Get him some yeah, you get you some free garlic naan or some onion kulcha or something like that at the oven.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah. You guys are like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Sure,
Yep.
sure. There's the Jalen Lloyd
You got
You Got
toasted.
Toasted special. So
I like
Boom.
them.
hats
That's
off
awesome.
to Sally Shannon, my wife, and the
Yeah.
boys, Michael and Hudson. I didn't come up with any of these. So
Great job by the Burkle fam.
Good
Burke.
job, fam.
And Charlotte just being there for morale.
Yeah,
She
I
just
mean,
loves
picking up
everybody.
everyone's spirits.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. All right, Geoff. What do you got, buddy?
Well, I have a few ideas. One of them Owens actually stole, so I'm gonna have to come up with something on the fly here.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's a player right now, at least in my opinion, that's deserving of that Jeff Sims combo. I think that
Oh, because
us
Jeff did deserve it.
I think we deserve it. The common fans
The
deserve
people
that.
deserve it. Damn
The
it.
fans
People
deserve the
combo. So Amigos,
Oh
I'm
my
a
God.
loyal customer. I go there at least once a week, typically on Fridays. I spend
how's your
exorbitant amount of
cholesterol?
money. Yeah, it's not good. Yeah, it's not. Blood pressure's terrible too.
That's probably more from the decades of smoking. But anyway. Sorry.
That too.
Okay, sorry.
We need to have our name on that. Now, if you're listening, Amigos, common fan combo. It's See, it sounds good. The
Ooh,
common
I
fans
like that.
combo.
I
We do the
like
exact
that.
same thing though. It's a soft shell taco, crisp meat burrito, Mexi fries, and then a drink. The only thing I would add to it is you need to have complimentary cheese and complimentary ranch. Throw that. I'm tired of paying for that shit. I'm sorry. You're giving me this little Dixie cup full of cheese sauce, and you're charging me an arm and a leg for it. Just give it to us for free as part of the
Jeff,
combo meal. That's the
Jeff,
only thing I would change. But
count,
Amigos,
counter,
seriously,
count, counterpoint.
what?
Do you think Amigos has a tree in the back that grows ranch and
I
cheese on
do.
it? They,
I
they got to pay for
literally
that
do.
stuff.
There's
No,
labor. There's
as
labor costs for that.
As,
There's,
as
there's
much as
labor
I
costs.
disagree,
There's ingredients.
as
Like, what
much
do you
as I
think?
disagree with Runza's principles about beef and cabbage, they at least give me free ranch when I go
They
there.
do
They don't
that at
charge you for
Runza. The
ranch.
good people at
It's
Runza.
free. So don't give me that. All right. I don't want to hear that, Tej.
No, I will
All
give you
right.
that. I will give you that.
So the common fan combo, that's one.
I like that.
I was gonna rope in a Rayola reference about Runza's or maybe at least a Runza cheeseburger. But since Matt stole that, the only thing I can really think of is we haven't really incorporated Valentino's into anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to do
Pizza
that.
at the games.
Yeah.
It's good. It's a little overpriced, but it's good.
I love Valentino.
Yeah.
First of all, I love Valentino's, and I feel like anybody who grew up in Nebraska especially loves Valentino's. But second of all, for whatever reason, like that slice at the game,
Oh,
is
it's the best
it's
Val
so
slice.
good.
It's
Yeah,
different.
Yeah.
It's
different
different.
in
That's
a
for
It
sure.
really.
hits.
It's different in
Yeah.
a really good way, and also like I could eat like 8 of them.
Yeah.
So,
Right?
yeah, you don't get full off of them. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And they charge you an arm and a leg for it too. It's brilliant.
Oh
Good
yeah,
for
are
them.
you George Costanza? Like so
No kidding.
cheap, you cheap little
I'm
leprechaun.
gonna be taking donations for the human fund here shortly.
Geoff's probably got like 4 different GoFundMe's out there that we don't even know about
Yeah,
under fake names.
Yep.
All right, I'm just kidding, Jeff. I love you.
So like,
Although the common fans probably need to know that we got a text from the commissioner of our fantasy football league this week, and who hasn't fully paid up on their dues?
I forgot.
Guess who?
Guess who?
Guess
I
who?
forgot it went to $60. All right.
Guess who? The mustachioed madman, Jeff and Lincoln.
I owe
I
10.
fully paid.
I paid 50 like
Listen.
we have in years past. Sue me. I forgot it's
listen,
60.
when it comes time for martinis and sushi with the wife, we got no problem paying the bills.
No problem coughing it up.
Are we paying our full fantasy
that
football
came out of
bills?
the-
Are the kids getting Christmas gifts? Nobody knows.
We
And
don't know.
then he also I think he had paid, but he didn't realize that like 3 years ago we upped it from $50 to $60 for the season.
Uh-huh.
And he's like,
Yep.
oh, it's 60. You know damn well he knew it was $60. He's trying to get off with a discount.
Maybe Pitch will forget or something.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That extra $10 would have got me another slice of Valentino's pizza at the game. So
Probably
It
2
would have got you
slices,
two, Jeff.
yeah, with a tip to the young kid working too.
yeah. Well, now I just Rayola. I just does Valentino's serve like anything but pizza now? Like at their old
Oh,
buffet,
sure.
like I used to
Oh,
love going there.
They
Love
got
the
pasta,
buffet.
lasagna.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, ravioli. Rayola ravioli.
Oh, I like
Ooh,
that.
That'd be a good
like
little
that.
combo.
Yeah.
Rayola ravioli. I miss the buffet, by the way. It used to be a Christmas tradition that we would take
Yeah.
the kids to go to see Santa, and then we would always go to Val's, like the giant buffet on
Yeah.
70th every year. Stupid COVID just destroyed that, and it's no longer. So I think that's a good one. I mean, we haven't incorporated Valentino's. This one we've mentioned Fairbury, and I don't know if you guys frequent Amigos enough to know. Are you familiar with the Yankee?
My kids have been obsessed with that lately. The Yankee burrito.
It's
It's
almost
like a hot dog,
yeah,
like wrapped in a tortilla, right?
like kind of like it's almost like the McRib. I think they only
Yeah.
bring it back like on special.
Like they were telling me about it. I'm like, I was like, oh wow, that's awesome. In my head, I'm like, that sounds awful. That sounds disgusting.
I've never personally had one, but I thought could you pair the Fairbury brand hot dog with Amigos and do
Marriage
those two together and do their own Yankee, but you could call it
together.
a Fairbury Fedoni.
Fairbury Amigos together.
2 become 1.
Yeah. Mhm. And just I said Fedoni, a Fairbury. Instead of calling it a Yankee, we'll just call it a Fairbury Fedoni. Just give me a Fedoni, please. And
Wow.
usually it's just a hot
I
dog.
love that.
I don't hate that idea. I don't hate that
Kind
idea.
of cool. And I love it because
I-
it's like a mythical thing that's like the McRib that you don't get
mythical
it all the time.
creature.
I would
You don't
order
get it
that.
all the time.
I would eat that with Mexi fries.
I would.
I would too.
You know, it's in 20, early 20s, Matt. Again, like TJ, you mentioned, being a single guy coming home from the bar or something like that. I would crush one of those things. Like to
Oh,
me
God.
now, as a 41-year-old man, I'm like, dear God. But if you're like 22, 23 years old and just got back from downtown Lincoln, like, my
Yeah.
God, absolutely, I would eat one of those things.
No, let's
I'll
be
take a
clear.
Fairbury Fedoni, please.
Us in our 20s, we'd eat 3 or 4 of those things, Matt.
Absolutely.
Not
Yep.
just
And also get some Mexi Fry nachos to go with it too.
Boom.
absolutely.
I only have one more,
Absolutely.
and you guys know this because I hold this place near and dear to my heart. But Hy-Vee needs to get in on this game too. Chinese Express specifically.
Oh,
Yes.
your
Yes.
former employer.
Yeah.
Your former employer.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Didn't really abide by any food handlers laws when I worked there. Sorry, people that bought Chinese food from the Chinese Express from
The
like
statute of limitations
1997
is
to
expired.
1998.
It's been 20 years, Jeff.
Sorry about that. Kind of like how McDonald's, the local McDonald's, does like the Big Mac sack. Could they do like a promotion where if we score like a running touchdown in any capacity, you get like a box of crab run goons as
Jesus.
I don't know why that's so funny. It shouldn't be that funny.
Rangoons. just really, just a big stretch.
or like
Oh.
a box of egg rollouts. And it's just anytime we score a touchdown or get a sack, or I think crab rangoon is awesome. Crab rangoon.
I mean, I feel like that's so ridiculous it would actually work.
I think it works.
It's so weird and out there that people would show up for that. I love crab rangoon, by the way. It's like the best
Same.
Chinese food ever. I could just eat that alone. I don't even need.
I also haven't been to I haven't gotten Chinese food from Hy-Vee in probably decades, but I remember loving it. So I feel like give me an excuse to go there, and I think people would go there.
Absolutely. So
I just want to point out, as a high schooler, I also was a Hy-Vee employee, as you guys may. I don't know.
You were the one on 70th.
70th and Pioneers, yeah.
There's a few. There's a few of you guys there. Yeah. I didn't, but I know there was a handful.
Yeah, those were some times. All right.
Play
well,
on.
listen, Common fans, we want to let the word go forth from this time and place to friend and foe alike. Send us your ideas. You can tweet at us. You can email us, commonfangbr@gmail.com. If you have other ideas for whatever kind of creative specials, now that these players can get paid, let's help them out.
Yeah.
Whatever kind of creative specials, whether it's a restaurant or a retailer or some other business in Lincoln or Nebraska or whatever it might be, any kind of partnership, let us know, because this was a lot of fun. And
Amigos,
I feel like we need to start putting these out into the world already.
Don't steal our ideas.
Well, no, we should just put it out there and let them let these people run with it. All right. Excellent full season review, guys. Huskers end the year 5-7. We all know the drill on that front, but a lot to be hopeful for.
Yeah.
We're all on Raiola watch as of 10:55 p.m.
Raiola
it's
watch.
Like it's like Anchorman. Panda watch.
Panda watch. A La Jolla man clings to life. Okay, sorry. Anchorman reference. Sorry. All right, Matt, Jeff, any final thoughts?
No, you know what? It was a good fun season. I think, like we've detailed it. There's a lot to look forward to, guys. I think we've got the right man in charge, and he's got some good guys working with him, and we've got some good players with good futures. I think ahead of a lot of guys, and I'm excited.
Yeah, it's been a fun season. There's more to come, listeners. So even though football's not in session right now, plenty more content coming your way. I also forgot honorable mention for hated coach. Can't stand Brian Kelly. That guy is a POS. Can't stand him.
Jeff, Brian Kelly.
I don't know. He coaches LSU. Like I
don't like him.
Play a Brian
you guys know the story behind Brian Kelly. Come on. Don't play this game.
Well,
right?
we know a little bit about the guy.
The episode's ending, Jeff. We're wrapping up the episode. No, it's okay. Jeff tried to sneak in some sort of Notre Dame
It was like,
reference.
yeah,
We'll try
weird,
not to hold you to
like
this.
a weird Notre
What?
Dame
I
reference. Like the
forgot
guy's
to
not even
mention that
there
earlier. I
anymore.
don't like him anymore. I don't right. He's just I don't like him. Okay. You asked for coaches I don't like, and you didn't specify the rules. So I don't like Brian Kelly
That's
either.
true. That is
Hey,
true.
Matt, note to self, let's figure out how to mute other people on Zoom
I got you. I can do
before the
that.
next episode. Okay, cool,
Yeah.
cool. All right, let's talk about that. All right, comic
Okay.
fans. Thanks for joining us for the end of season review. We're putting this out ASAP. So we're excited this last week leading up to Christmas. We're going to have at least one more guest, probably have a couple more episodes before the end of the year. And then, like Jeff said, we're not going anywhere. We're coming back bigger and better than ever in 2024. But for now, thanks for joining us. GBR for life.